welcome all to the Pro Football Radio Podcast. This is episode 66. This is your co-host, J. with the pride and joy of Merrimack, New Hampshire, one Jakuma, and our senior contributor, Eric Burgess, a.k.a. The Burg. Fellas, how are ya?
You know, we're recording a podcast on election night. I know we said this a bunch off air, but I mean, really, I guess we know what Nero felt like when he played an instrument while Rome was burning, except the only difference is I'm drinking beer and whiskey. Burg is having a little adult beverage over there with some rum, and we're just going to bullshit football while the flames are arising. So let's go down in flames in style.
I'll tell you, it's a nice to have this as a distraction from what's actually going on in the real world, because This night, I've been dreading this night for 6 months, and I'm gonna be happy when it's over. Let's just get to football. Let's screw politics.
The one time we'll all say stick to sports on this podcast.
This is true, and as you guys mentioned, it is election day. So when people are listening to our podcast, I'm sure they've already casted their ballots. And for us, men, here we don't really get into politics. Our whole goal is to try to provide you with some sort of sense of relief from the real world and kind of take your mind off of everything for an hour or so. But me, myself, like, obviously I'm not going to get into, like, you know, where I lean politically, but what I lean for is I lean for big storylines. And what I want more than anything on the planet is for a massive shit show where, like, the army has to go in and take Trump out of office. That's what I'm rooting for. Like, I'm just rooting for massive storylines, right? That's my whole focus. Because you think 2020 was bad? Imagine starting 2021 off like that.
Oh my God! Please, no, God.
You know, betting wise, I think he can bet on this election. And I think earlier today, I think earlier today, Trump was plus 125 to win the election tonight.
Take it to the bank?
I don't know if we want to say take it to the bank before we have people like finding out where we live and burning our fucking houses down.
Listen,
yeah, right.
I saw this amazing the stat. Oh, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second. I saw this thing on Twitter today where apparently you can bet on when Melania will leave after Trump loses the election. Is it going to be 2 months, 4 months, 6 months? Is like essentially when is the divorce going to come within that time frame after he loses the election?
Ooh. I'll take 4. I'll take 4 months.
Who thinks of this shit? Like, how is this an odds that you can put into to whatever the betting site was?
Over under 6 months. Smash the under.
I'm smashing the under. I am hammering the under. If that's available on DraftKings, I am hammering the under on 6 months.
Yeah. All right, listen, to give you guys a quick rundown of the podcast, this week we're going to talk about the Patriots sucking again because the Patriots lost to the Buffalo Bills, the Chargers, and how they have found new ways to lose games. We'll talk about the Week 9 games of the week, essentially Green Bay versus San Fran, Seattle versus Buffalo, Baltimore versus Indianapolis, Miami versus Arizona, Tampa versus New Orleans. And then we have 2 segments we're going to kick off this week. We got Take It to the Bank Parlay. And then we have a Bullets with Burge section as well, which will give you a rundown of some fantasy players to keep an eye out. So, fellas, are you guys ready?
Let's boogie.
All right. So
Let's roll.
Before we talk about the Patriots and how much they suck, I want to get us in the mood, right? So here's a little something.
Oh, God. We're going to get pulled off of Spotify for copyright.
This is how I felt while I was watching the Buffalo Bills beat my New England Patriots on Sunday. I felt as if I wanted to walk into a lake and never come back out, with this playing as loud as possible. I don't know how you felt, Burge, but it was pretty bad.
You're depressing me right now with this music. It's making me rethink it all.
We just pulled him off the ledge. I wish you would step back off that ledge, my friend. You can cut ties with all the lies that you were living in.
So the New England Patriots went up to Orchard Park and lost to the Buffalo Bills 24-21. The Buffalo Bills are now 6-2. The Patriots fall to 2-5. Quite a bit came out of this game, and I know my buddy Burge is just chomping at the bit to kind of get to it. So, sir, without any further ado, the floor is yours. Let's get your initial reaction to what you saw on Sunday.
They didn't just lose. They freaking blew it. All Cam Newton has to do is hold that ball. they're going to score 6 on that drive and they're going to win the game. That was one of the more heart-wrenching losses in the last 20 years of the New England Patriots, in my opinion. Just, you knew what was on the line going into that game. You know, for as bad as they had played in the first half, defensively, how bad they were against the run, they were in position to win that game, in a very good position to at least tie it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Cam Newton didn't protect the ball.
Yeah. I think that play in itself, man, was pretty bad, man. I think I felt for Cam Newton because you saw him go to the sideline after that fumble, and he looked like he wanted to cry, right? And I was right there with him, about to cry as well. But it just speaks to the magnitude with the amount of emotion he had on his face that loss signifies. That essentially took us out of the running for any sort of run this year. I mean, essentially at this point, in my opinion, the Patriots have become sellers. Well, not sellers, but essentially the season is over in my eyes, right? So there's a lot to unpack here. And Puma, let me turn it over to you real quick as well. I want to get your take on what you saw on Sunday. What was your thoughts on that Buffalo Bills versus Patriots game?
I mean, it was a very winnable game. I mean, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills as a whole, except for the running game, had a very pedestrian day at the office. I think if you look at the box score, the New England Patriots had more total offensive yards than the Buffalo Bills that game, but it was just instances of shooting yourself in the foot, bad field position. There were a couple other costly turnovers. I think there was one in the red zone that led to a touchdown for Buffalo, and then that backbreaking one where worst case you kick a field goal and you're going into overtime. It's almost like on all aspects of the game, offense, defense, coaching. New England just can't catch a break. They can't get that monkey off their back right now. And what are they like? They're on a 4-game losing streak or 5-game losing streak at this point. And
4-game losing streak, yeah.
4-game losing streak. In theory, they should bounce back against the Jets this week, but we saw a lot of upsets in week 8. Like it's not beyond the realm of possibility that this is the one game this coming Monday night that the Jets decide to show up at. It's hard to unpack because we're also recording after the trade deadline, and as of recording, Stephon Gilmore is still on the roster. You didn't flip him for any draft capital or salary cap relief. You didn't part ways with any of your running backs. It's hard to unpack, and Stephon Gilmore is probably going to be cut at the end of the season, or be a trade candidate in the offseason because he doesn't want to really be here anymore. New England doesn't really want to pay him or do another contract extension with him, and they're going to be up against the cap next year too. So, I guess now you guys know what I felt like as a Dolphins fan for 20 years.
Yeah.
Well, let me go ahead.
I was just going to say, I want to hit on what you said, Puma, about how the offensive statistics at the end of that game were relatively even. I think the Patriots outgained the Buffalo Bills at the end of the day.
Yep.
I find that hard to believe considering how bad and inept they looked in the first half of that game.
Yeah, and listen, you are spot on right with the stats I have in front of me. So first down, New England 20, Buffalo 22. Total net yards, 349 for New England, 339 for Buffalo. Offensive play, 61 for New England, 57 for Buffalo. Rushing net yards, 181 for New England, 190 for Buffalo. Essentially, anywhere along the stats, New England outplayed Buffalo. Unfortunately, Cam Newton had that really horrendous turnover, right? And I think that's where most of the blame, in my eyes, what I like to do after a game is I like to look at, essentially where the blame is if it's a loss and where the credit is if it's a win. I think the 3 areas where I'm going to place the blame at this week is essentially Cam Newton because you can't fumble the ball away. At the end of the day, you're playing not just for maybe our season, but your essential NFL life as well. We don't know if you're going to be able to make it through this. It's just how horrendously you've played. So anytime you're running with the ball to win the game and you fumble, you get most of the blame. But moving past that, and I think that's the one thing we got to kind of do with this situation with this Patriots team because you can't just throw it all on Cam all year long. A lot happened in that game where I think that coaching staff in itself also had a pretty horrendous day, right? I mean, in the first 4 drives alone, there was quite a bit of penalties that stalled those drives, and most of the time penalties come down to lack of discipline and bad coaching, right? And I think the most egregious thing in my mind was when the game was tied up, right? We were kind of not really in the game. We were down by 8 points. We finally got a drive. We scored a touchdown. We went for 2 points. It's tied 14-14 all. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Bill Belichick decides to go for an onside kick, which I do not understand. And it's probably one of the worst decisions he's made as a coach, because everything leading up to that point was horrific, but you finally got back into the game and everything went, and all the energy was on your side. Like, for that brief, 30 seconds from the moment you scored that 2-point conversion, it was 14-14, the pressure was right back on the Buffalo Bills. Like, you felt good. I felt good all year long. I thought we were going to win that game, and all of a sudden, Bill Belichick decides to go out there, go for an onside kick, and essentially turn the ball over to the Buffalo Bills, who went 40 yards and went up 21-14, and that was that. And then finally, number 3, the defense. It's no, at the end of the day, it's no surprise that the defense played bad again. I mean, the Buffalo Bills gashed us on one single play over and over again. It was the same outside zone run play that San Francisco ran all game long, and it's 2 fucking weeks now, and you still can't figure out a way to stop it. Like, I just don't understand it. And I always thought that Bill Belichick was this genius coach, where we always to adjust in game and figure out how to stop the run. You saw all game long Buffalo was going after Adrian Phillips in the box, and he couldn't contain that end, right? Where's the adjustments at? Like, at some point, we've got to start looking at Belichick and ask, what the fuck are you doing, bro? It's 4 games in a row. There's constant. You're on the list as the players as being bad as well. So I think it's really a bad look for Belichick as well this year, along with Cam, and I'm just frustrated to an end. I'm not happy with how things are panning out. And the worst thing is, everybody says let's move off of these players and get high draft picks, and we'll essentially build for the future. But who's to say he's going to draft well in the future as well? We've had 5 years of bad drafting from Bill Belichick. The future doesn't look any bright. So I don't want to be all negative Nelly here, but it's not a good feeling, and I don't like where this team is going in the future as well.
I'm with you on that. You hit the nail on the head when it comes to trading off your veterans and the players to get draft assets. I have zero faith that Bill Belichick is going to hit on any picks that he makes. His track record speaks for itself when it comes to that. Going back to the onside kick, I'm going to play devil's advocate here for just a minute. I know we talked off air about this, Jay, but when he went and lined up that kick after you tie the game, let's be honest, the defense was getting gashed on the run all game. It wasn't like a second half thing. It was an all game thing. Yeah. What if in Bill's head was, they're going to gash me the full length of the field regardless? Why not come out here and try to catch him sleeping and try to recover the ball and, again, continue to spark the offense? Now, I get the other side of this, and I'll let you talk about it when it comes, but that to me is where his mind was at when he made that move. He tried to make a swing play for his team that was struggling early on to try to give them a bigger boost when it came down to it. And I don't necessarily agree with the call, but I think that's where his mind was at.
I mean, I'll jump in real quick on the onside kick as well too. I was watching it while I was at work, and call me the psycho, I didn't mind the onside kick call for those exact reasons that you laid out, Burge. I mean, this defense was not stopping a runny nose in the run game. They were getting gashed up and down the field. Why at this point, like, your season's on the line, you just got back into the game, I would roll the dice too and try to catch Buffalo sleeping, because not only would you the momentum go more in your favor if you recover the onside kick, but if you drive down for a touchdown, now Buffalo is up against the wall, and we've seen what this Buffalo Bills team has done in the past when they have been up against the wall. We saw it in the playoffs last year against the Houston Texans. Everybody just decided to short circuit in that matchup. I don't mind that specific play call, to be honest.
You see, my biggest issue is because at the end of the day, that's fine. I understand your point of view that no matter what you do, you're going to get gashed. But the way I see it is, if you do kick it off and you make them drive 75 yards, there's a higher percent that they might actually make a mistake in those 70 yards compared to 40 yards that they got to go to score a touchdown if you don't have a successful onside kick, right? So if you kick it downfield, there's more plays that the Buffalo Bills got to run. There's more times you got to snap the ball. The weather's not the best. It's rainy. It's windy. A lot can happen in those extra 30 yards that I think I would feel comfortable with trying to take that chance of kicking it downfield and seeing if something else can happen out of that. Do you guys understand what I'm trying to get at?
No, I get exactly what you're saying, and I agree with you 100% with them with the potential for them to turn the ball over at that point. But you're also sacrificing the clock at that point too. So
at what point did like the defense instill any confidence that they could make a key stop and create a turnover?
Right. I mean, they had the pick on J.C. Jackson at the end of the first half, but I mean, that was just a miscommunication between Allen and Diggs that did that. They didn't exactly force that. They just made a good play on an opportunity. They seized it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't like the call because of the way the onside kick is nowadays. Like, you can't get a running start on the kickoff. Since they changed the kickoff rules where everybody's stationary until the ball is kicked, the percentage of recovering an onside kick has gone so down. You guys agree with that?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a low percentage play no matter what. But I think at the end of the day, that's just one minute play. I think the bigger issue here, Burg, and we want to talk about this real quick, is like this is just everything over the last 5 years catching up to us now, man. And it feels like we're in quicksand, and I feel like there's no way out. Like, everybody wants to look to the future into the draft, but I am legitimately concerned that there really is no way out of us in the next year and a half. This is not going to be a quick turnaround. Like, this could take a couple of years before we're back into playoff contention with just how bad this team is on offense, with how bad Belichick is at drafting. I think the only way I can see through this is maybe going after high prize free agents and using some of that cap money next year. But I don't think the future is bright either for the Patriots.
Yeah, but with what cap money? Because I know there were 8 players that opted out, but that created cap space for this season. That's why everybody was up in arms after the fact that the cap space was freed up a bit this year, because they're like, oh, well, Cam Newton only signed for $1 million. They're undervaluing him. Look at all the cap space that they have. But when those players come back on the books next year, that's going to go up against the cap. They're going to be right up against the cap again. And that's why, just from the trade deadline perspective, if I'm a Pats fan, any draft capital that I could gain, and listen, I understand that Bill Belichick has whiffed a shit ton as a general manager, but if you're going to try to recruit, high prize or middle of the road free agents to kind of mix and match and fit this offensive and defensive scheme, you're going to have money to do so, and they're just not going to be able to do that. And that's the issue that they were up against this year. They have almost $30 million in dead cap money tied into one dead player, one wide receiver that went down to Tampa Bay, and a quarterback that's not on the roster anymore. It would have behooved them. It would have behooved them to have paid Tom Brady as an extension to come back this year, because it wouldn't count as much against the cap.
Yeah. See, I don't think Brady would have signed either way.
Exactly.
That's another debate, but
that's fine. We've gone down that road before too. It was probably the best for both parties involved. But if you were looking at just the dollar sign of this year, it would have behooved the New England Patriots to bring Tom Brady back, at least for this season, because it would have cost a shit ton less against the cap than what they're paying for right now. And yeah, they come off the books next season, but you still have Dante Hightower. Stephon Gilmore's going to count a little bit against the cap unless they trade him or cut him. I think after the beginning of the league year, a couple other people are still going to be counting against the cap. They're going to have to really open up that checkbook and get dynamic with how they're going to bring people in free agency if they're going to do that.
Yeah. Listen, I'm just frustrated because I feel like, the drafting aspect of it in itself has just been so bad. I mean, it's been 5 years, and a lot of the talent that they've taken, that they've tried to essentially, mold into the Patriot way, they've kind of walked out the door, right? The Chandler Jones of the world, the Trey Flowers, or whoever it is. Even when they draft good talent, they can't seem to keep those guys here, right? So 5 years in or 4 years in, we should be at the mark right now where we have a bunch of core players that are on cheap rookie deals that we're looking to either extend or franchise, but we have none of that right now, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we have there's no talent on our roster anywhere, right? And looking at some of the numbers, the last time that Belichick actually drafted a Pro Bowl player was Jamie Collins in 2013, right? I mean, I just don't understand where we're gonna get talent in the future as well, with just how bad his track record is with the drafting in the past.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we've hit this over the head a few times with the depth at the wide receiver position going into this season with such a rich wide receiver draft, where guys drafted in the third, fourth round would have been considered higher picks in other drafts, and Belichick doesn't go out and he doesn't take one of them, not even one, given the state of the position.
I don't want to say the game has passed Belichick by, because listen, that's just a stupid thing for me to say. But I do believe he goes after certain people that fit his system, the people that he enjoys being around and coaching and molding, where, he'll take the lesser talented guy as long as it fits, into his little system. Now, I do wonder going forward, because at the end of the day, the wild card always was Brady, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you can draft shit people, you can bring in shit free agents. It doesn't matter. You're going to win 11, 10 games a year, and it doesn't matter essentially what kind of roster you put on Brady. But now I want to see if it changes going forward. Will he take a different approach? Will he spend some more money in free agency? Will he take a guy? Will he actually take a guy in the first round instead of going back and getting 14, fourth round picks in 10 years from now? It's a lot to kind of ponder into how this team is going to move forward.
The screen on my phone might break if he does that again this year.
What?
I mean,
I might smash my phone.
Yeah, right.
I'll say this much, only because, you guys are in uncharted territory. You guys have not had to experience this. I mean, I'm young enough to remember the Drew Bledsoe years, the one
Me
Super
too.
Bowl appearance. But, I mean, this is... Nobody wants to call it this, and you're never going to hear it out of Patriot Place, but this is the beginning of a rebuild. And the beginning part of that would have been the trade deadline today. I'm calling it right now. You are going to see a flurry of transactions in the offseason. They're probably going to be eating a lot of dead cap space, but they're going to clear their books off and clear the decks and kind of go back to the drawing board with this team. And you know what? I think that's what's going to be needed, because everybody fit Bill Belichick's system on defense, and then for Josh McDaniels, certain players fit his offensive scheme, and everything was timing based. And I think that's why Cam Newton's struggling right now, because he's not a quarterback that fits that. But if you're able to clear the decks, you can kind of rebrand yourself, because Tom Brady covered a lot of discrepancies and inefficiencies in this offense. Because we all know, and I'll come out and say this as not a Tom Brady fan, but just a fan of football, that if Tom Brady's on that team, at least on that final drive for the Patriots, he's not going to fumble the football. You're still going to live to fight another day, and you're still going to kick a field goal. It's little aspects of that he played mistake-free football, and now there's nobody there to do that for the New England Patriots. Yeah. And I think they just have to clear the decks of the chairs. My Dolphins did that right now, and as much as it sucked, I don't mind it as of this moment.
Well, I'm not ruling out a Tom Brady interception on that last drive either, with the weapons they have.
The way
the offense is built.
Fair enough. But I would say it's more likely than not that he would not turn the ball over.
Well, they would have kept running the ball with the running backs, which why didn't they just feed Damian Harris at that point?
Yep.
Guy is a beast. He's been a beast since he's been on the field. Why not give it to him in that spot and let him be the guy? He was running all over Buffalo in the second half. Had his second 100-yard game in that. Why? Why are we still going away from feeding a bell cow back, which he has shown the potential that he can be that here? Why are we not doing it?
Mm-hmm.
The running attack is this offensive team's only true strength, is running the ball. Their offensive line was owning the Bills' defensive front in the second half of the game on Sunday. Why are you not feeding him? Feed him. Give him the ball. Let him do all the work for you. Instead of putting your quarterback out there to take hits and risk giving up a stupid fumble like they did at the end of that game. It just aggravates me. Oh, my God.
You right there, bro?
I feel a Cowboys-esque rant.
Dude, they had a chance. They had a chance to right the ship this year. They had a chance to put themselves in playoff contention. Let's be honest. If they win that game, they're coming out of this 4-4 after next week, and you're in it.
Yeah.
Any given Sunday, they could beat one of the teams, like the Chargers or the Rams or the Ravens. Why are they making these stupid decisions when all it takes is the their record could be flipped with a series of probably 3 or 4 plays, and you could be looking at a 4-3, 5-2 team.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that was always the way we won games, right? We didn't beat ourselves. We always laughed at the opponents. Oh my God, I can't believe they just fumbled while they were gonna drive for the go-ahead touchdown, and that's something that obviously we don't have anymore, right? That's something with Brady. You always knew you're gonna be in position to win the game, and now we don't have the talent. We obviously don't have superior coaching because we're bashing the coaching every single week, and on top that we're making mistakes. Like this team, even if it made the playoffs, I don't know
one and done.
Where your optimism was coming from. If this team made the playoffs, we're going to get throttled in the playoffs. I'd rather have it this way, where we're playing for a higher draft position, which, I mean, I don't know why I'm saying that, because obviously you can't draft for shit's worth, but, I mean, at least you have hope. At least you have hope in the draft now.
It grinds my gears watching these games, and I'm starved for a win. Hell, I was starved for a freaking touchdown watching this game on Sunday. I was like, can you give me a touchdown and stop kicking field goals? Like, I mean, the penalties early on in that game were ridiculous. The delay of game, like, come on. That's on Cam Newton in the offense for them not getting that snap off.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to my thing real quick, right now, I mean, we're going into week 9. Like, are the Buffalo Bills the best team in the AFC East?
No.
Miami's coming. I think I learned more about Buffalo than I did about New England in that game, because I thought for a 100%. Fact that Buffalo Bills team was gonna shut the door in the face of the Patriots and say, all right, we're here, we're taking over this division. And I just felt over and over again, they just didn't have that killer instinct to put the Patriots away, and they let us back in the game. And I 100% believe that if we didn't fumble that ball, we were going to win that game. So I think
on that drive.
Yeah, right? Like, I think we would have won that game. So I think I've learned more about the Bills, and I had the sneaky suspicion that they really weren't it. And for the last 4 games or so, it started with the Titans, the Chargers, lackluster performance against the Jets, and now a outright performance against the Patriots. Yeah, they're 2-2 through that, but I'm not impressed with Josh Allen. He's only accounted for 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in that span. The running attack itself isn't. I thought it was gonna be better, but it's not that good. So I learned more about the Bills not being the elite AFC contender than I did over the Patriots in that game.
Mark it now. Dolphins win the AFC East this year.
Yeah, okay. You see, here's the thing. I would buy the Dolphins as the best team in the AFC East if Ryan Fitzpatrick was still the quarterback. Only because we don't really know what we're getting in Tua. I'm going to get to him in my game review. He wasn't asked to do a whole lot. There were a couple of hits he took from Aaron Donald on Sunday that I thought he was going to die. If I see a little bit more out of Tua this week against Arizona, and then the following week I think it's against the Chargers, then I would start buying into maybe the Dolphins are the best team in the AFC East right now. But right now, I still got to go with the Buffalo Bills at this point.
All you got to do is look at the remaining schedules for both teams.
Yeah.
The Bills have a gauntlet coming up, and Josh Allen's an average quarterback, maybe above average. You know, I throw out the name Phillip Rivers when he reminds me of a little bit. Phillip Rivers was great, but he could never win the big game. He would always throw the bad interception. It would always hurt his team. That's Josh Allen to me. I think he's an average quarterback to borderline above average, but he doesn't have that next level to get that team to be a true contender in this league.
Yeah. Listen, I don't have to rehash my feelings on Josh Allen. I've said it many times. I don't think the guy is it. I think he has lucky streaks, 4 or 5 games in a row. People pretend like he's an MVP candidate, but essentially he'll fall back down to earth. And that's what we saw over the last 4 games. So I do understand where you're coming from. I can see your argument. I do think Miami's coming as well. That defense is legit, and I think that defense can win that division. So I think I'm going Miami over Buffalo.
Yeah,
100%. Mark it down.
I'm still going with Buffalo. I still think they win the division.
Before we move
Too
off the
early for
Patriots-
that.
Before we move off the Patriots, let's just quickly preview the Monday Night Football game between the Patriots and Jets. We, in the past, can just laugh this game off and be like, all right, well, by halftime, it'll be over, so I can go do something else. But now, who the hell knows, right? I do think the Patriots are going to end up winning this game against the Jets because the Jets are pretty horrid, man. I haven't seen a team this bad, and I think they're purposely trying to be this bad, which is smart on their part. They're trying to get the number 1 overall pick and trying to get Trevor Lawrence, but that Jets team was all kinds of bad, man. Did you guys see that video going on Twitter where, it was like you can't take 1 second off in the NFL, and then it shows teams playing versus the Jets, and the Chiefs are laughing and joking it up. So they're a clown show. They're a laughing stock. I think we're going to beat them. If we don't, I might not be able to do a podcast on Tuesday night.
I thought is this going to be a take it to the bank game for you here?
This is a take it to the bank game. I think the Patriots correct their ways. Let's call it like a 28-14 win.
You're taking the money line though, right? You're not going against the spread.
I'm just taking
I think the spread's 7.5. No, it actually went down to 7. It's a touchdown. Listen, I'm gonna jump in real quick. The one good thing I guess you could say about the Jets is like they're actually trying to get LaMichael Pirine the football as the running back to fill in for Le'Veon Bell, and not the Kansas City game. Everybody looked bad, but the game before he looked pretty decent coming out of the backfield. And we just saw Buffalo run all over the New England Patriots. They can't contain the outside run, and I just think the Jets are going to keep pounding that. I think New England wins. I wouldn't be surprised. I have the Jets covering the 7, but after the games that we saw last week where Tennessee laid an egg against Cincinnati, the New York Giants took the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the limit last night on Monday Night Football. I honestly would not be surprised if this is the one win that the New York Jets have this season. Because in all honesty, there's been nothing on the defensive side of the football, the New England Patriots, short of that interception that Burg, like you said, was a mistake from Josh Allen with miscommunication with Stephon Diggs. There's nothing inspiring about this defense right now. So I'm fading this team. I would not be shocked if the Jets win outright.
Could you imagine just how bad it's going to be in Boston if we lost to the Jets?
Welcome to knowing what a true rebuild feels like.
If they lose to the Jets, Jay, I'm with you. I may boycott next Tuesday. I may do it.
What's your prediction for this game, sir?
I am going to take the Patriots here. I think it is a perfect get-right game for a bad team. Maybe a game where Cam Newton can regain some of his confidence. He was already hurting for confidence going into that Bills game, and I thought he did enough to regain it until he put the ball on the ground at the end of the game. That can be one of those plays that eats away at you as a player going forward, or could even go for the rest of his career for that matter at this point. I like the Patriots' running attack as long as the coaching staff feeds my boy Damian Harris. Feed him. Averaging almost 6 yards a carry in the games that he's played. Yeah. Keep feeding him. I don't need to see Rex Burkhead carry the ball 5, 6, 7 times a game. Give Damian Harris the touches and let them run all over him. And, something else coming out of that Patriots game on Sunday was Jacoby Myers coming out. He definitely has some chemistry with Cam Newton, and I want to see that continue. And I don't know, are they going to get N'Keal Harry back for this game? If they get him back, that's just another guy on the field that they have to worry about. Not to say that he's done anything really, but
at this rate, you need somebody.
He's
with
better than Gunnar Olszewski out there.
That's very true.
He's more of a threat out there than him. So I can't pick against my boys in this game. The Jets are winless. I hope that continues. If not, I'm going to be on watch here.
I wonder if Cam Newton looks at the Panther situation and thinks to myself, my God, they have such good weapons. Because at one point they had Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, and he's thinking to himself, what the fuck am I doing here with Demir Bird, Gunnar Olszewski, and Jacoby Myers?
To play into that, before I swear we're getting to my point, then we're going to get to game preview, but to get to that point real quick, I think that's more of an indictment against Cam, because They cut Cam Newton. They ate a fucking salary cap hit. They paid $34 million for Teddy Bridgewater when they could have brought Cam Newton back for 17. His former coach didn't trade for him for a 5th round draft pick to go up to Washington. He traded for his backup, and the only job offer he had was to go up to New England. Like, I think that at this point at week 9 is more of an indictment onto why Cam Newton, besides the mental aspect of being open to being a backup quarterback in the NFL, was more of an indictment as to why he was still a free agent. Yeah. That's my take on that.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the Los Angeles Chargers.
The fucking Chargers, Jesus Christ!
Thank God. God.
They went into Denver. They lost 30-31. Denver Broncos won. At the end of the day, at one point the Chargers were 24-3 leading, and somehow they managed to find a new way to give away the game. Essentially, they are the Western version of the Atlanta Falcons, right? They're based in LA. So I think the stat was this is 4 games this year that they had leads of 16 points, and they gave it away for a loss. And I know Puma has some thoughts on this. So, sir, let's hear another epic-filled rant.
Yeah, it's just they should be getting buried more than the Atlanta Falcons right now. The only reason why they're not is because the Falcons choked on the greatest stage of all time in the Super Bowl, and they just haven't been able to shake that monkey off their back. But I mean, the Chargers, this is, like you said, Jay, this is the fourth game in a row where they blew a 16-point or more lead. They had the Denver Broncos on the ropes, and then here comes Drew Lock with his ragtag team of offensive skill position players, led by, I think it was KJ Hamler, with the he called game touchdown at the end of the game. It's at what point do they finally just look themselves in the mirror and just rip the Band-Aid off with this coaching staff? And I get it, like they just drafted Justin Herbert. You don't want to have too many changes on the coaching staff with a rookie quarterback. We've seen it time and time again. You can look at Alex Smith when he got drafted, and he had like 5 different head coaches and offensive coordinators in his first 6 years as a quarterback out there. But at some point, this team is never gonna win. Like, they've always found ways to lose games, whether it was last minute field goal misses, bullshit like this, blowing 14, 16 point leads. It's at some point you need to make the change, and I think at this point, they should definitely get rid of their defensive coordinator, because the defense was the biggest liability out of halftime in that game against Denver. I hear Wade Phillips is looking for a job. I think he would be great with that defensive core, but it sucks because they just traded Desmond King to the Tennessee Titans, and that was a big part of their secondary that they just lost via trade yesterday. So this team is like the most underperforming team in the NFL, short of like the Dallas Cowboys. Because this team should be contending for the AFC West right now. Definitely a wild card team. And they're what? They're 2-5, 2-6. Yep. Like there's no excuse for everything that Justin Herbert has been doing with Austin Eckler out. You've had God, what's his name? Keenan Allen in and out of the lineup with back spasms, and he's always dinged up. Hunter Henry is, kind of here and there every other game. This team should be demoing people right now if they had the full band together, and they just can't get out of their own fucking way at the end of a game. And if I'm a Charger fan, I would start calling for a coaching change like stat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, listen, I think you're spot on. I think you've seen this Chargers, front office with the GM being able to put and draft talent. Essentially, they put together a good team with the pickups, with obviously the Bosas and the Herberts. This team has talent. I do believe this coaching staff, it needs to go, because if you look at all the stats from Sunday's game, like total yardage, 485 Chargers, 351 Broncos, right? 275 passing yard, 243 for the Broncos, 210 rushing yard, and 108 for the Broncos. Like everything along the line in regards to stats lean towards the Chargers, and somehow they still blew a 24-3 lead. Now, I will say this, as much as I love Justin Herbert, like I have a man crush on him. I've already said that. I think he's going to win Offensive Rookie of the Year. I do believe his 2 turnovers were fairly costing this game as well. And I hope this isn't becoming a trend with him, because we've seen this in the first few games where there's a lot of good to see, but there's a lot of turnovers as well that I don't like. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, he could be Daniel Jones in 18 games if he keeps his turnovers up. So I like what I'm seeing out of Justin Herbert. He's gonna cut down on the turnovers though.
I don't know. You got to think the injury to Austin Eckler has impacted them a little bit here. I mean, in terms of running the ball, I mean, you're working with Josh Kelly and Justin Jackson, and Josh Kelly has been kind of losing his touches over the last couple of weeks. Justin Jackson, since he's been in the league, he had a couple of flashes early on, but since then he's been very lackluster, so to speak. I mean, I think the offense scores even more with when Eckler comes back. And let me ask you, are they the best 2-5 team in the league?
I think so. I mean, the defense turtled up definitely against Denver, and it could have gone either way against the Saints. But I mean, this team on both sides of the football is way too talented. Like, I mean, unless the argument is that, like, if Austin Eckler's back there, maybe they can run between the tackles and milk the clock so you don't have to put the defense in that position. Like, I could buy that. But, I mean, you're facing a team that is without Cortland Sutton. Their leading receiver is KJ Hamler, who I think was just coming off of a hamstring injury. Noah Fant had an okay game. Phillip Lindsay broke the game open with a 53-yard touchdown run. Like, this is a team that should have at least stop the bleeding a little bit on the defensive side of the football, and they were just lost out there like I am in math class. So I can't.
Well, Burg, I'm going to push back on your rushing analysis, because at the end of the day, they did run the ball really well. They ended up with 210 rushing yards, and on top of that, like, all the running backs, whether Justin Jackson, 5.2 yards for the average carry. Pope had 6.7, Josh Clay 4.6 average per carry. It's not that. It's just the fact that I think Justin Herbert is very careless with the ball, because his interceptions let New Orleans back in the game, let Tampa Bay back in the game, and then let the Denver Broncos back in the game as well.
Hell, the Chiefs too. They had the Chiefs on the ropes too, and he threw an interception.
Chiefs as well. I forgot about that. I mean, they had these guys in position to win, but I think his turnovers and the fact that the defense itself kind of shits the bed occasionally is one of the main reasons why I think the coaching staff needs to be looked at in regards to maybe some changes.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fan of Anthony Lynn as a head coach. I mean, I take this back to when, what was it, the 2018, when they just had a big playoff win in the wild card game, and the Patriots were a suspect 2 seed in that year. And a lot of people around Boston, around here, were picking the Chargers to come in and basically steamroll the Patriots and continue on into the AFC Championship game, where the opposite happened and the Patriots blew them out. Like, the team was clearly not ready to play in a big divisional game in a hostile environment up here in Foxborough. I agree with you on the coaching staff that he's had enough chances. Maybe now that they've found a quarterback. I mean, Daniel Jones, granted, some of the timing of his picks have been, obviously bad.
Brutal. It's getting hard to defend him.
He's only thrown 5 all year.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's thrown 5 picks. He threw 1 against Kansas City, 1 against Carolina, 1 against Tampa, and then 2 against Denver on Sunday.
Listen, I don't want to go on this tangent about Daniel Jones, because we all know how I feel about him, but the guy has more turnovers than Jameis Winston since the beginning of last year? I mean, like, we saw the stat last night that they threw up on Monday Night Football. The guy is not a good quarterback.
Well, I'm talking about Herbert, not Jones.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Daniel Jones.
No, I'm talking about Herbert. Herbert's only thrown 5 picks. If I said Jones, my bad. But Herbert's thrown 5 picks this year.
That makes sense. Yeah, because Puma, I'm sorry, did I hear something that's wrong here? But regardless, my bad. But you're right. Justin Herbert is a good quarterback. I do think that the analysis I was trying to make with him and Daniel Jones was the fact that if he continues those picks, he could end up being that quarterback that is looked at as hey, promising, but way too many turnovers.
I think now, after this season, considering it's obvious the Chargers aren't going to go anywhere, now would be a good time for them to make a coaching change. He's a rookie. He's just coming in. He's got experience. It'd be better for them to do it now than, say, after next season or the season after that. Like, he's clearly got talent. He's clearly an NFL starting quarterback with the potential to be the next level for them. And if you give him a competent coaching staff after his rookie season where he comes in and he performs really well, I think that could really boost his development. You guys agree?
I think so, but it's really going to depend. They need to get an offensive-minded coach in there. And, part of it was joking, but part of it was serious. Like, Wade Phillips is a great defensive coach. Like, he coached that LA Rams team defensive-wise to get to the Super Bowl against New England a couple of years ago. Like, I love him as a defensive coordinator. I think if he's able to get his hands on Ingram and Bosa and, a healthy, I forget the fellow's name that's in the secondary. I think he's a safety. If he can get his hands on those three core guys and that linebacker that they just took in the draft this year, that would be a fun core on the defense to watch. But they definitely need to make a change on the defensive side of the football, coaching-wise, because there's no excuse to blow that much of a lead on the road in Denver.
Yeah. All right, let's move to Week 9 previews. Let's start off with the Thursday Night Football game with the 5-2 Green Bay Packers going up against the 4-4 San Francisco 49ers. Let's start with the Green Bay Packers, right? At the end of the day, I always say any given Sunday, we all say that. That's why we love the NFL. But I did not expect the 1-5 Minnesota Vikings to go and beat the 5-1 Green Bay Packers the way they did. It was a 28-22 game. Vikings won, and they essentially ran all over the Green Bay Packers. I mean, it's not even funny, the holes that were being opened up for the running backs. Whoever started Dalvin Cook was probably having a hell of a day, but they ended up with you, right?
What do you have, like 50 points, Burg?
51 for me in my league.
Nice.
Wow. I mean, they ended up with 173 rush yards against that Packers defense, which is just hard against the run. And I think that's one of the main reasons why I'm leaning towards picking the San Francisco 49ers this game is because, listen, the 49ers are a run-first team. They get very creative. Kyle Shanahan is absolutely brilliant with the way he designs some of these plays. I think, with Jimmy G being out, listen, I don't think he's that much of a quarterback. I think, Mullins is going to be, just as efficient as handing the ball off to his running backs. I think I'm leaning with the 49ers here on Thursday Night Football to get the big upset going. Give me like 49ers 21, like 17. I think that might be a good score for this game.
I don't know. I like the Packers here. I mean, who's gonna run the ball for the 49ers here? I mean, is Debo gonna be back?
No, he's gonna miss. I think he's missing this game.
So I just saw today that Tevin Coleman is going to be out again. I mean, you're basically rolling with Wilson, McKinnon, and JaMychal Hasty in this game. Obviously, you have Brandon Ayuk out there who can run and get creative with the play calling. But a quarterback that has only played in I don't know how many games Mullins has played this year, but I like Aaron Rodgers here. His connection with Devontae Adams is unbelievable. Boosted my fantasy team this week to victory. Maybe Aaron Jones comes back this week? I mean, my pick for the Packers kind of relies on that, considering A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams are going to be on the COVID list, so their running game could be in serious jeopardy. But if Aaron Jones is playing and Adams is out there, I like the Packers in this game. 28-17.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
You, man.
I'm with you, Jay. I like the 49ers in this game. Vegas, or at least DraftKings, the unofficial sportsbook app of the Pro Football Radio podcast. Right now, the 49ers are 5.5-point underdogs. The over-under is at 50.5. I kind of like the under in this game, just because of the limited quarterback play you're going to get on the San Francisco 49ers. I think you're just going to draw up, like you said, Jay, get these guys in space, get creative with the run game. Green Bay can't stop the run. We saw that last week against Minnesota. We saw it in the playoff game against the 49ers last year in the championship game. I think that trend's going to continue. I said it last week. The 49ers are kind of running back university. They can plug anybody back there, and they're going to look great as a running back going between the tackles. And I don't really have a whole lot of faith in in Green Bay in this spot. I mean, this is a spot where they have to bounce back. I mean, we can all say what we want about the Chicago Bears, but like they're still knocking on the door of the division lead here. I think they might be holding on by the skin of their teeth at this point after losing to New Orleans. But, I mean, if they lay an egg on Thursday night against the 49ers, there's going to be a lot of questions going into the following week, especially since there were so many rumors of how they could have traded for Will Fuller to shore up that offensive unit. Granted, even if they traded for him today, he wouldn't be able to play because of COVID protocols. But, like, moving forward, that would have been a huge move that may bite them in the ass if they lose on Thursday night, especially because it's a wing and a prayer that Aaron Jones is going to play if the medical staff clears him from a strained calf. I like the 49ers in this game. Give me the points with them at 5.5.
Okay. Next game, we got the Seattle Seahawks going cross-country, taking on the Buffalo Bills. Seattle Seahawks are 6-1. Buffalo Bills are 6-2. Now, we've already talked about how the Buffalo Bills are pretenders, so I'm not going to go ahead and go into all that again real quick. But I think I'm taking Seattle in this game because, listen, at the end of the day, you know, Russell Wilson is playing at an insane level, man. He had 4 touchdowns against the 49ers this past week, 261 yards, and he's hooking up quite a bit with his buddy DK Metcalf, who's also an up and emerging wide receiver, man. Like, people are calling him the next Megatron with 161 yards on Sunday and 2 touchdowns. Now, on the defensive side, they actually played pretty good defense this game. They only gave up 52 rushing yards to San Francisco 49ers. Passing yardage was 299, but a lot of that was in the mop-up duty with Mullins coming in. So I was impressed with the defensive effort from the Seattle Seahawks this week. Couple that with the fact they just traded for Carlos Dunlap from the Bengals, who provides some rushing ability, and Jamal Adams is going to be eventually healthy and going to come back. I think the Seattle Seahawks are rounding into form as one of the best NFC teams. So I think I'm taking the Seahawks here. Give me like 32-27.
32. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you with picking the Seahawks in this game. I love me some DK Metcalf. Lovely fantasy performer for me this week. Yes. Oh my God, don't even start.
Hey, he had my team kick out of the casket like the Undertaker gif. Swear to God, I'm back in playoff contention because I was able to kick out at 2. With him and the Buccaneers defense holding out by the skin of their teeth last night.
There you go. I mean, I love me some DK Metcalf, and you know, I think the Bills, like we talked about, Jay mentioned it, the Bills are pretenders this year. I like the Seahawks to come in here and kind of run away with this game. Like you said, the rush defense was good last week. The Bills ran all over the Patriots this week with a subpar defense. I like the Seahawks here. Probably we'll say 35-21.
All right, you guys ready for this?
Oh God.
Take it to the big bet, baby. All right, so here I am in life. I'm taking the 3 points for Buffalo. Buffalo are 3-point underdogs. Vegas is calling this as a 55 total. I kind of like the over in this game as well too, but my take it to the bank bet is Buffalo plus the 3 points. And here's the reason why. Like the offensive weapons on paper for Buffalo are amazing. You have maybe Dawson Knox might come back. He was on the COVID list along with half the tight end room last week and I think the week before. But Stephon Diggs is still there. John Brown looks healthy. You have the running game going with Singletary, and Zach Moss actually saw the field and did something last week. And Josh Allen can still say what you want about Josh Allen. I'm a Josh Allen believer. I like Josh Allen as a quarterback. Low rent, poor man's Cam Newton. I think he's going to be able to run. The only thing is Seattle is good against the run, so they're going to have to get dynamic with the play calling. Brian Dable's going to have to get some people in space. But the Seahawk defense, even with Carlos Dunlap and Jamal Adams coming off of a soft tissue injury that sidelined him for the last couple of weeks, they already knows they're the worst in the league at stopping the pass. And I think you're going to see a big game from Stephon Diggs. I think John Brown is going to light up the stat sheet this week. And give me Buffalo. Give me Buffalo at home plus the points and put it on the board.
Well, so you're picking the points here, but who do you outright think wins the game?
Oh, Buffalo. I think they win the game outright. And okay. I would buy the Seattle Seahawks running game if they had Chris Carson back there. And he might be another game time decision, but as of recording right now, I think it's going to be the DJ show again. What is it? DJ Williams? Is that his name?
DJ Dallas.
DJ Dallas. Well, close enough. DJ Dallas is probably going to be the lead running back with Travis Homer as running back 2 on that team. If Chris Carson's playing, I might lean a little bit more towards Seattle, but right now, give me Buffalo winning outright, covering the spread, going over. Give me everything.
Take it to the bank.
At what point?
Take it to the bank!
Puma, at what point do you think he'll be off the Josh Allen bandwagon? What do you got to see for you to be like, maybe he's not it?
Another playoff debacle?
You know what? Like, not even. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what it would be to be the bridge that finally causes me to cross the Rubicon of getting off of the Josh Allen bandwagon. But, like, you know, I compare him, and I think it's a fair comp of Cam Newton. Like, if you look at their first 3 years in the league, their completion percentage is about the same. Allen, through 12 games, was at 53%. Cam Newton was at 60%. 2,000 yards for Josh Allen, but he was hurt for a portion of that. Cam Newton, 4,000 yards, 10 touchdowns to 12 picks to 21 touchdowns to 17 for Cam Newton. Like, every year so far, Josh Allen has improved on his completion percentage. Right now, through 8 games, he's at 67%. Through the entirety of Cam Newton's third year in the league, he finished the year at 61.7%. I think he's going to be a little bit more prolific as a passer moving forward. I think he's above average, possibly on the border of making that next step into, you know, the borderline elite category, I guess you could say. Ugh. I mean, really, what bails him out is his rushing attack. And I said this earlier on the podcast this year, that if Josh Allen was able to keep the momentum going on the offensive side of the football through the air and do what Cam Newton did in 2015 with getting, like, what do you have, like 15 rushing touchdowns and maybe like 500 rushing yards or something like that, like, that would put him in legit MVP conversations. But, you know, they're 1 third down drive away from beating Kansas City. They laid an egg against Tennessee. They barely showed a D-plus effort against the Jets, and they held on by the skin of their teeth against New England. It's just like the little things in between the lines that have caused issues for this team and have people saying they're pretenders. I'm a Josh Allen fan. As a Dolphins fan, I wouldn't mind Josh Allen as my quarterback.
I think with how,
and I think, you know what, I'll double down too. I think there are a lot of teams out there that, you know, people might say, oh my God, I can't stand Josh Allen, but, like, I would, if I'm a Vikings fan, I would take Josh Allen over Kirk Cousins in a cocaine heartbeat.
So with how long-winded the answer was and how much you have to defend him, I feel like I feel like you're never going to come off the Josh Allen bandwagon, is what you're trying to say, right? And that's okay. That's okay.
Like, if he wasn't able to run, y'all, like, if he wasn't able to run and keep plays alive for better or for worse, because he has been careless with the football, and yeah, I would be off of the bandwagon. But like I said, like, he is a very good comp to a young Cam Newton when he first came in the league right now.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the 5-2 Baltimore Ravens taking on the 5-2 Indianapolis Colts. And let's start with the Colts. They ended up winning 41-21 against the Lions this past week. For the most part, I mean, it was really not close, 20-point win. You knew who the better team was. But I do want to talk about the Baltimore Ravens for a little bit, because I think what's happening in Ravenland is a little fascinating. They are coming off of a 28-24 loss to the Pittsburgh Steelers, which is obviously no shame because the Steelers are one of the best AFC teams. Mm-hmm. But in the fashion they lost, it's a pretty horrendous, right? If you look at the stats, total yards 457 for the Ravens, 221 for the Steelers. Total rushing yards 192, Ravens 173, Steelers. Passing yards 192 and 173, and then rushing yards was 265 and 48. And they still somehow lost the game because Lamar Jackson turned the ball over 4 times, right? And I think we're starting to see the book being written on Lamar Jackson. He's fairly quiet. You don't hear much about the Ravens. Ever since they lost to the Chiefs, they're just kind of out there in Ravenland. We don't really pay much attention. But if you look closely, Lamar Jackson has had some issues with his three biggest games this calendar year, right? He lost the playoff game, he lost to the Chiefs, and he lost to the Steelers. And I am concerned that people are starting to figure out, hey man, let's just throw as many people as we can up against the line and see if he can throw the Ravens into a win. So with that being said, I think I'm leaning toward the Indianapolis Colts here because I feel like the book is starting to be written on Lamar Jackson. With how well they're playing and how well their defense is playing, I think they're going to be able to, essentially stack the box and make him throw the ball. And if they get down, if the Ravens get down somehow by 10 points or 14 points, he's going to throw them back into the game. There's absolutely no way that's going to happen. So give me the Colts here in the realm of a 31 to a 24 kind of win.
You know what? Like, I'm going to piggyback on the Lamar thing real quick because I felt like they had Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh is one of the better teams, probably the best team in the AFC against the run, and they were gashing, they being the Ravens, they were gashing the Pittsburgh Steelers on the ground almost all game, and I think they went away from the run a little bit. I still think they could have kept going back to the well because Pittsburgh wasn't stopping them. Like, we kind of got the J.K. Dobbins breakout game a little bit. I think he ended the day with, what was it, like 13, 14 run with 117 rushing yards. I don't think he found the end zone. Gus Edwards did. Fucking vulture. But, I mean, we saw the J.K. Dobbins show, and he looked like the better running back, and I really hope, as a former J.K. Dobbins owner, of course, that he becomes the lead back because that backfield looks better with J.K. Dobbins as the running back than Mark Ingram. And, I think the Baltimore Ravens, Dan Orlovsky of ESPN brought this point up, and I think it's actually somewhat true. They're really missing, Hayden Hurst right now as the tight end in that team. I mean, Mark Andrews was the go-to tight end, but ever since Hayden Hurst left, you see less 3 tight end sets, and his yards per catch is down right now. And that's really the only thing I can think of as to why they struggle through the air and passing the ball. It's not because of the wide receivers. They still have the same wide receiver cast. They have a disgruntled Hollywood Brown right now, but they still have Hollywood Brown. They have Willie Snead there. I think they really just should have picked up a tight end via trade today to really go back to basics with this offense. Long-winded answer. I lean towards Indy. I like the over in this game. The only thing that scares me is Phillip Rivers just throwing a duck at this defense, and I think we're going to get Yannick Ngakoue this week. He's going to clear the COVID protocol. I lean Indianapolis, but give me the over in this game for sure.
I'm with you, Puma, on this. With Phillip Rivers, he's only thrown 6 picks this year. I've always been on the point of the Colts being kind of a pretender team this year. That being said, Lamar Jackson this year has definitely regressed. It's hard to pinpoint why, but I've been calling this since last season. I was waiting for somebody to actually do it and to actually, prove that point. It's hard for me to pick the Colts in this game, but I'm going to. I think it's going to be close. The Ravens defense, I think, is legit, and it's just going to be Phillip Rivers duck, as you put it, Puma, an interception to one of the Ravens to end this game. Give me the Colts in a close one. We'll say 24-21. This one's been hard for me to pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't really figure it out today either because I really don't like what I've seen on the offensive side of the football for Baltimore. But like the ultimate equalizer is Phillip Rivers with a back-breaking interception at the end of the game.
Yeah. Do you guys think Lamar Jackson wins a playoff game this year?
No.
God, I mean, at this rate, Pittsburgh looks like they might win the division. They're going to be a 2 or 3 seed. I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think if that's the case, then Lamar Jackson, like, that pressure's coming, man. Like, I mean, that's going to be, 3 straight years you can't win a playoff game, and some of the biggest games that you are in, the book is written. Well, let's get the lead early. Let's get them out of their running attack. Let's get them out of their game plan and have Lamar Jackson throw the ball. And then once that happens, you get games like this did. You get games like you did this past Sunday with four turnovers from Lamar. So it's gonna be interesting to see how this pans out for Lamar in the next few games.
I'm with you on that. It was only a matter of time before the league figured him out. Obviously, last season was stellar out of him, but they faltered in the playoffs against the Titans. If they play wild card weekend, I could see them winning a game, which they probably will given the playoff format. But maybe they win one. I know I was quick to say no, but maybe they win one against one of the wild card teams or one of the bad division winners. But they're not going anywhere right now, and I agree with the pressure being on him. He's going to be coming up soon for a deal. Obviously, they're going to extend him off his fifth-year option, but I think the league's kind of figured him out.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to the 4-3 Miami Dolphins versus the 5-2 Arizona Cardinals. Puma, I know this is your team, so I'm going to turn it over to you. You set it up. You give us your rundown. You rant and rave. Let's hear it, sir. Let's hear how you feel about these Dolphins.
I mean, I love my Miami Dolphins. I love the defense. Christian Wilkins is probably my favorite player on this team right now. And it started on draft day when, he basically tried to do like a jump up with Roger Goodell and he almost killed him on the stage. But no, like in all seriousness, this defense has flown under the radar. Jay, you sent me the stat from Jeff Darlington. They are the top team in the league, and I think points allowed or something like that. They're one of the top defenses right now in the last couple of weeks. And this is the hallmark of Brian Flores. We saw it in New England, especially against the Super Bowl. They kind of did an amoeba style defense, cover zero, confused the hell out of Jared Goff, and we saw it again on Sunday against the Rams. The offensive side of the football, I'm not sold on. Like the defense did enough that they didn't have to ask for a whole lot out of Tua Tagovailoa in his debut. I think I have the stat line here: 12 of 22, 93 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 fumble, and 1 hit from Aaron Donald that I thought he got murdered on. I think he ended up like 4 feet in the ground, but. I mean, this game they're going to have to ask for a lot more out of Tua because this defense can be beaten. We've seen it on Sunday night against the Seahawks. The Cardinals give up a ton of yards through the air, on the ground. They can be beaten as well too. But our running back core isn't that great. And Myles Gaskin's going to be out for at least 3 weeks, and we just traded for DeAndre Washington out of Kansas City. I think this is kind of a bad spot for Tua. I like the Cardinals in this game. I think Chase Edmonds is the better running back in Arizona over Kenyon Drake. And I think Chase Edmonds is going to run wild in this game. I like Kyler Murray. I like DeAndre Hopkins. The only thing that scares me is the secondary can shut down the wide receiver core. So I think you're going to see a little bit more of Kyler Murray running around. Long story short, give me Arizona winning outright. I think the point spread is 4.5, but give me Arizona to win.
Yeah. Listen, I watched this game the other day with the Rams and the Dolphins, and listen, I understand how you guys won. I understand the fact that you have 2 fumbles and 2 interceptions, and that's one of the main reasons why. But I think the Miami Dolphins defense did give up quite a bit of yardage, right? It was a classic, bend but don't break mentality because you guys gave up 471 total yards, 340 passing, 131 rushing, 5.1 yards per play. So it was one of those things where, obviously those turnovers are crucial and they're critical, and that's when people, lose or win games. But defensively, I wasn't that impressed. I mean, I thought you guys can definitely play better defense. In regards to the offense, I do believe the coaching staff played it very conservative with Tua. I mean, 93 yards and a touchdown, only 12 attempts. 12 completions and 22 attempts. I think they were just kind of, in the mindset of let's get him out of here with some experience. Let's not get him hit. Let's not have one of those massive, tackles by Aaron Donald that's going to knock him out for another 6, weeks or whatever it is. But I think you're going to see a different Miami Dolphins team this week against the Arizona Cardinals. I think they're going to come out slinging. I think they're going to open the playbook up for Tua. They're really going to want to see what this kid's made out of. So I think I'm leaning Miami Dolphins to get the upset here against the Cardinals. Call it like a 24-20 game.
Interesting. I love this Cardinals team. I love what Kyler's doing down there. Their receiving core is great with Hopkins and Kirk, and then obviously you can't forget old reliable that doesn't drop passes, Larry Fitzgerald down there. I'm gonna go with the Cardinals in this game. I like you, Puma. I'm excited to see what Chase Edmonds can do with the lead role down there. I've been a big fan of him. I mean, I did a Madden franchise with him, and he was a beast. So that's really where I first learned about him. I like to think that now is his opportunity to kind of seize that job down there with Kenyon Drake in a contract year, and unlikely to play this weekend. So. I want to see what Tua has against a legit team. I still think that the offense of the Cardinals will prevail in this game. Obviously, I love the secondary with the Cardinals as well to defend against Devontae Parker and the Dolphins' offense with Budda Baker, Patrick Peterson. Give me the Cardinals in this game. Give him to me. I don't think it's going to be a close one. This was one of the games on the Dolphins' schedule I predicted them to lose. Give him to me 31-17. With Chase Edmonds kind of shining.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see how they're going to get anything done through the air because Devontae Parker is going to get shadowed by Patrick Peterson, unless Preston Williams, who I'm a fan of, don't get it twisted. I love me some Preston Williams last year before he blew his knee out. He's going to eat Kirkpatrick's lunch like Tyler Lockett did. I don't really see how they're going to do it through the air.
Yeah. Okay. Is this a 1 o'clock game or a 4 o'clock game, Puma?
I think it's a 1 o'clock game.
Okay. Cool.
We'll see. No, actually, I lied. 4:25. It might be on Fox.
Nice.
All right, let's move on to the final game that we're going to be previewing this week. Let's move on to the 6-2 Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the 5-2 New Orleans Saints. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are coming off of a lackluster performance last night on Monday Night Football. They won 25-23 on what I can only say is one of the best officiating jobs I've seen in a while. Usually the refs are pretty
Get out of here.
There we go.
I think this was a classic trap game for the Buccaneers. I mean, they were I think double-digit favorites if memory serves me correct. But you can see it. They came out with no energy. They were looking forward to the New Orleans Saints. They're barely lucky to get a win last night. And if Daniel Jones was a better quarterback, I mean, they would have lost this game. I mean, we're talking like 3 or 4 times I saw Darius Slayton running down the field wide open, and Jones couldn't get him the ball. So I think what we saw out of the Buccaneers last night is not too alarming. I think if they have a bad performance against the New Orleans Saints this upcoming week on Sunday Night Football, I'm going to be much more alarmed. But on the other end, the Saints, they beat the Bears 26-23 on Sunday, and I am a little bit concerned about Drew Brees because I saw this 2-3 weeks in where he was having issues getting the ball to his receivers. Like, you can just see, like, he's back to that, putting everything he has into a 6-yard pass. There's something there with Brees again. Maybe it's November. Maybe he's starting to feel
maybe
the
he's old.
tear. Well, it's starting to feel the wear and tear of the season. I mean, there's some weeks where he's great, some weeks where he looks like he's crap. So, listen, but at the end of the day, you guys know where I'm going here. I think Antonio Brown's coming back. He's going to get probably, I would say, 20 snaps if I had to guess. Today, Bruce Arians said he'll get either 10 snaps or 30 snaps, depending on how the game goes. They're going to try to get him out there and feature him a little bit in his 3 and 4 wide receiver sets from everything that's coming out of Tampa Bay. Apparently, the guy's in phenomenal shape. So we should see Antonio Brown back in the field. Godwin might be back. Mike Evans looks like he's starting to get healthy, and he's looking fairly well. I think I'm taking the Buccaneers here in a little bit of a blowout. I think it's going to be like a 42 to a 24 blowout of the New Orleans Saints. Give me the Buccaneers.
Burge, I know you got something to say. You got the floor.
I think the Buccaneers showed us something last night. They played down to competition, and that was clearly evident last night. They had a hard time moving the ball against a Giants defense that's not really that great. Does anybody know the status of Michael Thomas for this game yet? I think it's too early to tell, but
I think it's too early to tell. I think he's slated to come back, but it's not really the ankle at this point; it's the hamstring. So
he's gonna practice Thursday and Friday, and he's gonna somehow sit out on Sunday. There's something more going on down there. I know injuries are what's covering it up, but I think there's something else going on down there in New Orleans with Michael Thomas.
There probably is, but if he suits up and he plays, I mean, even without him, I'm not sold on the Buccaneers. I mean, they were a bad flag pickup last night away from losing or going to overtime against the New York Giants, the dismal New York Giants who find ways to lose games. The coaching staff can't seem to get this team up for these games. The Saints beat them already once this year. I know it's hard to beat a team twice in the NFL, but give me the Saints in this game. I think they're going to move the ball. Alvin Kamara's a beast. They're going to move the ball on this team. Give them to me. Let's say 31-24 in this game. I'm still not a buyer in the Buccaneers, and maybe it's the bias in me. We've talked about this off air, Jay, but give me the Saints, man. For at least to save 2020 for me, give me the Saints.
I'm gonna go with you, Burge. I'm gonna go with the Saints in this matchup only because, I mean, we can all say what we want about Daniel Jones and the New York Giants, but what you definitely have to give credit to is that Giants team played exceptionally hard for Joe Judge last night, and I think
absolutely
that is a testament to the coaching. And I didn't mind the Joe Judge hire as a pundit. I'm not a New York Giants fan, but I liked what Joe Judge brought to the table. And I mean, this team, they should have rolled. On paper, they should have destroyed the New York Giants, and they should have covered that spread easily. There's nobody on that defense that scares anybody. Logan Ryan is a guy with a pulse back there right now, and the defensive front is only good at stopping the run. And once Ronald Jones fumbled the football, that running game was really nowhere to be found. Like they stuffed Leonard Fournette, and they kind of smothered that aerial attack for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially on a bullshit helmet-to-helmet call on Cameron Brate that Cameron Brate should have gotten flagged for. But, I mean, in this, it's a huge divisional matchup. I like the Saints here. I think even if Michael Thomas doesn't go, Alvin Kamara is going to fill the stat sheet because they're going to line him up wide. They're going to use him in the backfield. And Latavius Murray can also tote the rock out the backfield as well, too. So give me the Saints, and just from a coaching's perspective, I just think as much as I've bashed Sean Payton for turtling up in the playoffs, like we've seen it all year that this is not a disciplined team from Tampa Bay. They've gotten better since the Chicago game. But I think Marshawn Lattimore is going to get under Mike Evans' skin, as always, and Mike Evans is going to be one swing away from just getting tossed out in the first quarter, and it's going to be a mess on the offensive side of the football. Betting-wise, if you can find any prop bet with Antonio Brown, take the over and everything, because, one, Bruce Arians is basically a documented liar as a head coach.
Absolutely.
As a head coach, just not even with Antonio Brown, but always saying like, oh, this guy's going to be the lead running back. Oh, this guy, we're going to showcase him as a wide receiver, dating all the way back to his Arizona Cardinal days. He's a documented liar. I wouldn't be surprised if Antonio Brown plays every snap of this game, ends up getting 10 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, because Tom Brady's going to want new best friend, who I think is actually living with him in Florida. So, yeah, take any over in an Antonio prop bet that you can find this weekend.
Listen, I want to make a point on the Giants, and I think, Brandon, you hit this on the head. You know what I see out of the Giants this year is what I saw out of the Miami Dolphins last year, right? Essentially, playing tough, playing hard for their coach. They seem to like their coach, kind of like the Dolphins liked Brian Flores last year. And I think, there is some talent on that defense. I mean, that cornerback, I forgot what his name was, but essentially he is leading the PFF focus and rankings for...
was that Julian Love? I think his last name's Love, right?
Yep.
So what I'm seeing out of the Giants is the Miami Dolphins last year. I do believe they are a quarterback away from being a good team. I mean, if they had a better quarterback that wasn't turning the ball over 19 million times, they are going to win the AFC East this year. So to say that, essentially the Buccaneers, they came into this game thinking that they were going to essentially just roll. The Giants were just going to kind of tuck their tails and go home. And obviously that wasn't the case. The Giants punched them in the mouth. The Buccaneers looking forward to that big game on Sunday night. And I think that's why this game was so close. But, just to wrap this all up, I think that call last night was one of the best calls I've seen in a long time from a refereeing crew, right? I hate it more than anything on the planet when a quarterback's mistake of throwing the ball late and inside and the fucking wide receiver turning and running back into the ball is rewarded with a flag. And I hate them more than anything on the planet. I'm glad the referees got together, talked about it. Essentially, it was a bang-bang play. The cornerback got there when the ball got there, and the cornerback actually hit his arm on the ball. So I see no issues with that play. Great call, refs. For once, they didn't cock it up.
So how do you feel when a quarterback launches one way downfield and it's underthrown and the receiver tries to come back for it and the defender happens to be in his way and they throw the flag on pass interference on that?
I absolutely hate
That's the same thing, and they call it every time. That call last night was pass interference. That call was pass interference 100 times out of 100 if that's a deep ball launched out. Brady makes his career off doing that. He did it here in New England. We loved it when he was here. We loved it. We loved that he would get us 50 yards because he threw one and he underthrew it so bad that Josh Gordon or Julian Edelman came back for the ball and ran into the defender and they got flagged for it. We loved it. That was BS last night. That receiver was coming back for the ball. That's textbook PI. Textbook. Based on how they call it everywhere else on the field.
Wow, it seems like you got some.
I was pissed off last night. I was pissed off that they picked the flag up last night. If they don't throw the flag on that, that's another story. Yeah. But last night they threw the flag. How do you pick that up after, with the game on the line? You pick that up.
You want to know why they picked it up? Because the referees had it as take it to the bank.
Man, that triggered me last night. I was pissed.
I think it's still triggering you.
It is. Because if they're not going to call it consistently across the board, no matter where it happens on the field, then get rid of it.
Think about the statement you just said. When has the NFL officiating been consistent? Never. I mean, it's a crapshoot any given Sunday. We all know that.
I don't disagree with you on that. That's why I'm so pissed off. I'll say this much. I would share the same vitriol as you, Burge, if DJ didn't throw two back-breaking interceptions, because if he didn't throw those picks, that's 17 points off the board. And
I agree. I agree.
That team is not in the position to leave it up to the referees to decide their fate. Troll job aside, Jay, I see it as the bang-bang play as well, too, but, like, you know, it's too close to call. Like the election tonight, that's probably going to be too close to call. That play in the end zone was too close to call as well.
Listen, I'm not trying to troll. I'm not trying to troll 100% here. Like, I am legitimately happy they picked up that flag. I mean, at the end of the day, people get all hurt and stuff because of it's Brady, and, you know, it looks like it's hey, they're leaning towards Brady and it's making him look good, blah blah, whatever. That bullshit aside,
the bank.
I see it as essentially a bang bang play. The cornerback got there as soon as the ball got there. His hand hit the ball as well, and on top of that, the ball was thrown late and inside. So I see no issues with it. I actually say the NFL Referees Association did a great job last night, and, you know, it is what it is.
Puma, when you watched that in real time, did you think it was a flag? In real time, as it happened.
Real time. Again, it's close. It's close. You can make an argument either way. Gun to my head.
I'm asking you. Don't dodge it. Don't dodge it. I'm asking you.
If I'm a referee, I'm throwing the flag.
Thank you. I was calling for it immediately before the flag was thrown out.
But fantasy perspective, I was happy they picked the flag up because I had the Tampa Bay defense, and I was holding on. I was holding on by the skin of my teeth. If I lost last night, I'm out of playoff contention. Now I'm the number 4 seed. So let's go.
Hey, just like the election, you gotta go with your own interests on that. Let's go.
Exactly, brother. Exactly. Hey, Burge, I don't think I got a take it to the bank bet from you.
New Orleans. He had New Orleans as a take.
That was.
I don't think I said it. I don't think I
don't think you said it.
Take it to the bank.
All right. Speaking of taking it to the bank, we got a new segment launching with our buddy DePuma here. It's called "Take It to the Bank Parlay," and that's going to be followed up with a new segment that's featuring our buddy Burg, Bullets with Burg. So, take it to the bank parlay. This is all yours, sir.
All right. So basically, the "Take It to the Bank" parlay is just a quick recap of the "Take It to the Bank" bets that we put on the board for this week. And I mean, Jay and I kind of lost our skin last week, week 8, via DraftKings because everybody that was supposed to lose won.
How am I supposed to predict the 1-5 Vikings are going to beat the 5-1 fucking Packers? How am I supposed to predict the fucking Titans were going to lose to the 1-4-1 Cincinnati Bengals? How?
Jay, 75% of my bets would have hit if Tennessee just won outright against Cincinnati, because I took the Vikings plus the points. I took them at 7. I took them to cover, and dude, almost all of my bets would have hit if Tennessee won. But no, so real quick, the Take to the Bank parlay, it's this. You're going to get the New England Patriot money line from the one Jay Chima. Myself, I am taking the Buffalo Bills plus the 3 points. And Burge is taking the Saints money line. So if we were to bet that right now, while I throw that little parlay together, you would get, let's see here. Jay took the money line. Parlay wise, if you bet $10 on the New Orleans Saints money line, the Buffalo Bills plus the points, and New England Patriots, $10 would get you about 75. So let's make some money here.
Let's do it. Let's start making some money.
All of our listeners out there, right? Don't put those $10 on that Take It to the Bank parlay. Put your whole mortgage on that Take It to the Bank parlay, and you can thank us next week, because there's a reason why we call it Take It to the Bank, because it's going to happen.
All right, so $1,000 would net you $7,326 on the nose.
Thank us later. Just thank us later, okay? Bye.
Take it to the bank.
You know, I like Buffalo Wild Wings, you know?
I like Buffalo Wild Wings.
When you make
Me too.
10K off of us, let us know.
Yep.
All right, final segment of the day. Are we done with the Take It to the Bank parlay?
We are done with the Take It to the Bank parlay. Put it on the board.
Segment of the day, another brand new segment called Bullets with Burge, who's going to give you some of the key fantasy players he's targeting this week.
All right, so we'll start this off, a new segment here. I'm going to give you my lock for the week, my stay away for the week, and then my sleeper of the week. So my first lock of the week is going to be Davante Adams. The guy has been a beast for Aaron Rodgers this year. He's coming off a 3-touchdown performance last week, showing no signs of letting up. There's really nobody else there that he really likes to throw to in Green Bay. Give me Davante Adams all day, and I am riding with him in my Dynasty League. He needs to continue, because my division in my Dynasty League, I have 5 teams. We are all within 1 game of each other. And the top 3 make the playoffs. So I am going hard on Davante Adams. Hard. The guy is an absolute beast. My second lock I want to go with, Deshaun Watson against Jacksonville.
Talk about it.
The guy has progressively gotten better as his schedule has eased up as the year has gone on. I have him and Ryan Tannehill on my roster. I have started Ryan Tannehill most of the weeks this year because of Deshaun Watson's lackluster performance early on. He still has Brandon Cooks. He still has Will Fuller down there. I like Deshaun Watson to put up a big number this week. Lock it down.
Burge, real quick on the Watson take. If you're doing, say, DFS, what are your thoughts on a Watson Fuller stack?
Depends how much they cost on a stack there. I mean, Brandon Cooks has stepped up over the last 3 or 4 weeks down there in Houston. So it would depend on the money. You'd have to see who else is out there. I don't really play DFS, so I don't really have a good take on that. I got to be honest with you.
Gun to head, would you lean Cooks more over Fuller?
Yes.
Okay.
I would. that may come back to bite me in the ass because Cooks has put together some serious duds. In one of my leagues, I traded him for a third-round rookie pick right before he decided to go off for 2 straight weeks. So
of course, that's how it works, Burge.
I mean, it goes either way on that.
But do you remember those days where we had Brandon Cooks on the Patriots and we would always criticize his performances? God, I wish I those back.
Well, whoa. He was brought
boy.
in to be Jimmy G's target here. Let's be honest on that. So let's not open that can of worms, all right?
Let's make it through the new segment. Let's go to the duds. Who are we fading, Burge? Who are we fading on the week 9 slate?
I am fading anybody on the Pumas Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Burge.
They're not
my team. They're not my team.
They were my take it to the bank last week, and they burnt me big time. Lamb, Cooper, Elliott, Gallup, avoid. Ezekiel Elliott has been nothing without Dak Prescott at the helm. I almost traded my house to get him. Avoid them at all costs. I'm selling everything on Dallas at this point. Don't play them. If you have somebody better, please play them. As much as Zeke Elliott gets all the touches, he's not doing anything with them at this point because everybody on the defensive side of the ball knows the only thing that the Dallas Cowboys have right now is running the ball, especially now because Dalton's out. DiNucci's not going to play. Who knows who they're going to throw out there? I saw a name, Garrett Gilbert and
Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush. Like, who the hell are they? Don't trust your fantasy season to those guys. Please don't. And then my second fade, and it's going to kill me to say this, don't play anybody on New England, please. Don't even play Cam Newton.
I mean, we shouldn't even be saying that.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't even think that Jacoby Myers' performance last week gets you anything in fantasy. Just avoid it. Even though they're playing the Jets, you don't know what to expect. Play a different option that's more sure-footed, so to speak, on that. Because God forbid you do that and you lose. We're in the realm now where playoffs are starting to get into the picture. Don't ruin your season with that, please. All right.
Wow.
Burge, real quick, fantasy question. I know a couple of weeks ago we were in the same boat of having Tampa Bay defense, and on paper we weren't the biggest fans. And I think we both pivoted to the Washington defense as a stream. Would you go back to the well? Would you fade the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defense this week and maybe pick up a streamer if you have bench space?
If there are better options available on your waiver wire, absolutely. My take it to the bank game is the Saints this week. You're setting me up on this. The Saints, Alvin Kamara is going to run all over them, if not receive all over them. Drew Brees is going to find him out of the backfield. Latavius Murray will poach some touchdowns. It would really depend on who's out there. That's the thing with the kickers and the defense. You really got to play the matchups. I never will ride a defense unless they are the best in the league. If they are not the best in the league, I will play my matchups week in and week out and drop my defense and pick up whoever the best matchup is. Normally, it's whoever is playing the New York Jets this year. But
I don't know if you want to do that this week.
I'm not picking up my Patriots defense to play the Jets. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure.
You play the matchups. And that's how you kind of manage your defense. Like I'll even if a league doesn't force me to draft a defense in the draft at the beginning of the year, I will not draft one. I will draft a position player that I have a chance to hit on in the preseason or early on in the season versus drafting a defense, and I'll just pick up whoever's available, the best matchup, and roll them out there. I mean, granted, this year in my dynasty league, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers as my defense. I'm not going away from that no matter who they're playing. I'm going to ride them to the end because they are one of the best fantasy defenses in the league. But in terms of defense, if you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and you have somebody who's a viable option on your waiver wire, pick them up.
Quick question for you, sir. I am having issues on my team with tight ends. This last week I started was the name something Rogers off the Philadelphia Eagles. Didn't do jack shit for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have quite a bit of wide tight ends available on the waiver wire that I'm going to be looking into. Who do you recommend out of these people? Logan Thomas, Ebron, Hayden Hurst, and Mike Gesicki.
I would probably lean Hayden Hurst there because of that passing attack down in Atlanta. I don't know why you started Rodgers from Philly with Goddard down there. I know Zach Ertz has been hurt, but I would have faded that hard. The thing with
because
we
didn't have this segment last week and I couldn't ask you.
I know. No, the tight end is kind of I view it kind of like the quarterback position in fantasy where you have your really top tier guys like a Mahomes, like a Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson this year, and then the middle of the pack, you can roll any one of them out there and you're going to get production out of them. It really doesn't matter who you're putting out there. You're going to get it. So it's kind of, I view it kind of the same at the tight end position, which before this week you have Kelsey and Kittle at the top of that tier. You could kind of plug and play the middle tier of that, and you're going to kind of get you're going to have a chance to get the same production out of them. So based off those names that you just listed for me, I go Hurst just because of the upside of a touchdown from Matt Ryan in Atlanta. You're really playing the bank on touchdown play with the tight end position, and I think Hayden Hurst presents the best option for that.
I wish I had your insight last week because last week I was in the car with Puma and I was like, Puma, who should I start, Damian Harris or Jamal Williams? And he's like, start Jamal Williams, and that didn't work out so well, did it?
Well, I would have gone the same route.
I would have done the same thing.
I would have gone the same thing. I would have said the same thing just because of you don't know how the Patriots are going to use Damian Harris week in and week out. If Belichick listened to us, we'd be seeing Damian Harris 15, 20 carries a week, and then I would have said, ride that shit.
Now, two things just to piggyback off of Burgess' tight end pick. I like the Hurst pick. I mean, if you don't get that waiver claim, you could do worse than Logan Thomas. He had a decent stat line against the New York Giants 2 weeks ago. But Jay, what kind of league are you in where Hayden Hurst is on waivers?
Agreed. 100% agree on that. Jesus. How many teams? 8 teams? Jesus.
In the truck ride, you were listing off people that were on waivers, and I was just amazed at the running back. I forget who the running back was, but I was like, how is he still on wait? Like, pick him up now. Like, I don't care how this pans out. Like, how is this guy still on wait? I think it was actually the Jamal Williams one. Because worst case, Jay, say Aaron Jones comes back, Jamal Williams is still going to be part of that offense, right? And if God forbid Aaron Jones goes down again, you have a running back one and a possible lottery ticket winner for your league that nobody knows apparently how to draft in that league.
Well, the problem is I have both Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb and hurt right now, and I'm just stashing them on the bench, right? That's why I'm just kind of trying to find solutions for the running back.
I mean, you don't really have to dig that hard because you have real gems on the waiver wire. Like, I'm looking for people with a pulse in my 12-team league.
You guys really got to get involved in the dynasty format of fantasy football. It is by far the most fun, engaging concept that I've ever been a part of in terms of fantasy. It's way better than a standard keeper league. It's way better than a redraft league. I mean, if you want to manage an NFL team, in terms of fantasy, this is as close as you get.
Really?
You have salary cap you have to manage your salary cap. You have to keep a minimum amount of contracts on your team, and it's kind of a year-round experience because you do stuff in May with the rookie draft. You do stuff with a veteran auction in August before training camp. It really will engage you all around going forward.
What's the platform you use for that? Is there does ESPN have a dynasty?
No, it's called My Fantasy League. That's the site that I use. I'm in 2 dynasty leagues. Damn. It's probably a little too much considering how much work you kind of got to put into it because, I mean, you're really focusing on hitting on your rookies that come out of the draft each year. So like in one of my leagues, I had the first overall pick because my team was bad last year, and I snagged Clyde Edwards-Helaire with the first overall pick in that draft. And the way the rookie draft works, your salaries are set based on where you draft the players, and you can give them 4 years of the contract. So I could, if Clyde Edwards-Helaire goes off and he continues to go off, I have him cost controlled for 4 years, which is unheard of. So, if you really want to get into, you really want to dive into the the nitty gritty of fantasy football, Dynasty is where it's at.
I feel like I'd be the Belichick of Dynasty.
Here we go.
Fantasy, 'cause I wouldn't do very well with the drafting.
Here we go.
Well, I mean, you look at Fantasy Pros, you look at all the rankings, they kind of rank them, and you can tell like when Clyde Edwards-Helaire was selected at 32 by the Kansas City Chiefs, instantly you knew he was the number 1 fantasy pick in the rookie draft. Instantly, just because of the offense he was going into.
Yeah, of course.
But I have one more piece here. One more piece. It's a sleeper of the week.
Ooh.
We talked about it a little bit.
I love me some
earlier.
sleepers, Burge.
I wouldn't even necessarily call it a sleeper at this point, but we talked about it with the Miami-Arizona game. It's Chase Edmonds. Smash, smash, smash. He's got a chance to seize that job down there with getting this opportunity. He's going into his 3rd year. He's still got another year on his contract. Kenyon Drake is in a contract year in a prolific offense with a potential prolific offense down there in Arizona. He can catch the ball. He can run the ball. Give me Chase Edmonds for a lot of points this week.
Yep, I need
Give
it too.
Smash it. Smash it.
Cool. All right, listen, we're at 100 minutes on the dot.
Oh my man!
So
Wow, it's a Joe Rogan episode.
let's have. Let me ask before I say this: do we want to get to anything else, or let's go ahead and plug this up and call it a day?
Listen, I love y'all, but go watch CNN and see Rome burn. So let's get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
All right, plug it up, Puma. Let's call it.
All right, brothers. All right, so this episode and previous episode of the podcast can be found on Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, Google Podcast, Stitcher, YouTube, Facebook and Instagram, Pro Football Radio Podcast, Twitter at PFR Podcast. I'm on Twitter, Brando_Puma. Jay Chima's at Jay Chima. Our senior contributor, Eric Burgess. Where can they find you, good sir? Because I have the memory of an 85-year-old man when it comes to Twitter handles.
Burge the goalie, because I was an epic college goaltender.
That's a fact. Verified. Daniel Webster College Eagle. That is a verified statement. That is not hyperbole. That is verified. At Burge the goalie on the Twitter machine. Like, subscribe, download, hit us up on social media. Our DMs are open. Feel free to slide on up in them. Just don't ask for any dating advice. We're only here for fantasy football purposes. And also hot takes with the real life football as well too. Otherwise, that's all I got, guys. Unless you have any other plugs that I missed.
Listen, it was a great episode. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Let's
watch Rome burn. Let's go.
Let's go.